What is the probability that stocks will open up tomorrow? Think about it. Knowing that is powerful information. Fortunately, there are some clues which can help us figure it out. Take a look at this chart. It's an updated version of the chart I've been showing quite a bit in my videos. And what it says is that if you, since the launch of the ETF SPY in 1993, and if you had bought the SPY in the morning and sold it at the end of the trading day, well, you would end up about even. However, if you had bought the SPY at the end of the trading day and sold it in the morning, well, you would be up over 1,000%. So the chart continues to show that the action is overnight. The reason this works, depending on the time frame, is that the SPY, or the market in generally opens up somewhere between 51 and 55% of the time. Most of the time it's around 54, 53%. So the probability of the market opening up, well, it's about 53 or 54% of the time. But that's just basing on the market going up. What if you want to predict whether it's going to go up or down with more accuracy than 55%? For that, you're going to have to use some other tools, which we'll get into in a moment. But believe it or not, there are times the market doesn't even go up or down. It opens completely flat. And that happens about 3.5 to 4% of the time, which is seriously no fun at all for overnight option traders like me. One thing you can do is take a look at the technical indicators such as VWAP or RSI or MACD to help you gauge the mood of the market and give you a clue as to the probability to how the market might open the next day. There are certainly many types of indicators available to you, and the right one may very much depend on your style of trading. Now, the right indicator might actually be a combination of indicators, and you can keep testing, back test different combinations until you find the one that is maybe 65 or 70% correct, giving you an advantage to understand how the market might open the next day. No matter how good your indicator is, always be aware of the aftermarket news that could shift the mood of the market before the next day's open. I found this chart interesting. It's similar to the other chart that I show for the SPY. The inception is in 1993. And let me know if you think I'm reading it right. What it's saying, if you bought and held SPY only the day after up days, well, by January 2023, you would be up 16%, which really is not very much. However, if you only own SPY after a down day, well, you'd be up 785%. This is an interesting probability indicator. So what it's saying, if the market is down today, there's a high probability that it'll open up tomorrow. And that 16%, if you had bought it after an up day, well, that's kind of indicating that it most likely will be down the next day. So if the market is up today, there seems to be a higher probability that it might open down tomorrow. That might be worth testing. As many of you know, I've been working about 4 years on my SPY Tomorrow algorithms, and I give it away for free on the front page of spytomorrow.com, either up or down, which on average over the long term is about 75% correct. However, I've done one better. I've added a probability, and it's quite interesting, the result. As it turns out, the most common range for the SPY Tomorrow indicator is between 64 and 74, and that happens about 60% of the time. And the average for it to be correct during that time is right on the dot, 75%. However, when the probability indicator is in the 50s, well, it's only about 55% correct. As we get into the higher probability numbers, such as the mid to high 70s, that 75% correct number still holds true. However, depending on the time frame, it can lean more towards 77, 78% correct. However, once we get into the 80s, it's even better. For some reason, 80 has been wrong a couple times, but yet with that, 80 and above tends to be 80, 90, and in some time ranges, 100% correct. Of course, we can't depend on the 80s always being correct. News is going to hit us, switching the mood of the market. But we know that the 80s are a much higher probability, and it does follow through most of the time. We also know that the 50s is really a 50-50 shot of being correct. But if we're somewhere between 64 and say 78, or even between 64 and 80, we pretty much have a 75% chance of being correct. Knowing these numbers helps us position size properly, or in some cases, just don't even go into the market overnight. As you can see, there are many clues to help you understand how the market might open the next day. But more importantly, what are you going to do with that powerful knowledge? I'll see you in the next video.